Today on the Cooligans, in the first segment, we talk about Jay Heaps getting fired from the New England Revolution after losing 7-0. Not a very good impression that he left on the other MLS teams. And also $70K at the Benz, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Atlanta United, getting everybody in Atlanta to a soccer game. People are very impressed. Also, Colin Cowherd, he doesn't like New York sports. He doesn't think New York sports is doing anything impressive. Get out of here, Colin Cowherd.
In the second segment, we talk to Drew Connor. Get in here, Drew Connor. Colin Cowherd left. You got some space right in here. We talk about a couple things. We talk about his first season in the MLS with the Chicago Fire. We also talk about how wrong he and everyone in Chicago is about deep dish pizza.
In the third segment, we go over some MLS matches. So many great games. RSL against Portland. RSL getting revenge for NYCFC from last week. Also, Atlanta, they're ridiculous games. They're scoring all the goals at Mercedes-Benz Arena. And also Montreal and Minnesota getting a little heated after that game. But Abu Danladi is trying to tell everybody, yo, Minnesota ain't the worst place to be. I promise. it ain't that bad. All this and more today on the Cooligans.
Hey guys, this is Drew Connor, homegrown player for the Chicago Fire, and you are listening to the Cooligans.
Yeah, everybody.
Hey, what's up? All
right, taking it back.
Yeah.
Taking it old school over here.
What was
Try getting in the shot here.
In the shot. Okay.
Come on, there we go. Get closer to me. I showered.
Here we are.
This is, again, if you're listening to this, you have no idea what we're talking about. But if you're watching it, you know exactly what we're talking about. Which, if you don't know, I don't know if you guys are loyal listeners to the podcast. You can also be loyal watchers of the podcast.
You can watch us as we do, subpar comedy podcasting.
Right. Yeah. Why not? Why listen to us be mediocre when you can watch us be mediocre?
Sure.
Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Hopefully you guys like what we do. I love you guys. Everyone except Jay Slim.
Jay Slim?
That was the guy who left the negative review. Remember that guy from last week?
Oh, you have not let that go.
Oh, no.
Well, anybody. That's who Jay Slim is. He's an anybody.
More like an nobody.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is the Cooligans. My name is Christian Polanco.
And my name is Alexis Guerrero.
Yes, and we host a comedy soccer podcast.
The funniest and the gulliest soccer podcast in the goddamn world.
That's right. We are listed in the Better Business Bureau as the gulliest soccer podcast in the world.
Record holder, third year in a row. Is this our third year?
Yes, we're the number one comedy soccer podcast voted by JD Power and Associates.
No one knows really what they do. So the odds are they could be.
They probably do rate soccer podcasts.
At one point, I think they were nah, we only fuck with SUVs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know anything they do. It was cars. I know they do something with cars.
That's right. You hear it on every commercial, and it just sounds...
Yeah,
it just sounds like it's important, and you want JD and Power to like you.
I know, right?
And they're associates. You not just
them. They have a whole crew with them. They got associates.
Oh, you know what? I think JD Power is one person. It's not JD and Power and associates.
No. It's JD Power.
JD Power,
which. Great name.
I mean, he should be writing a teen trilogy.
More like a trilogy.
Well, but that's a real word. But that's a regular.
I know,
word.
But I threw an extra L in there.
The pun.
No.
You can't see.
I threw an extra L.
You can't see the pun if you just say it.
I feel like if you know me and you know my steez, you knew what I was you know what I was getting at.
Anyway, yes. Welcome back. I mean, we should start off with probably a couple things just to get out of the way.
Get all this out of the way.
Atlanta, we're gonna be in you next week.
I hate people who say that.
We're gonna be inside you.
So dirty. Yes, we are gonna be sliding in and out of you very quickly.
That's right. And we probably will not call back.
No, curve. Ghosted. We are gonna be in Atlanta, and you and I cannot be any more excited about this. This is going to be amazing.
For the Red Clay Comedy Festival, we're going to be doing a live show.
September 28th.
28th at 6:30 p.m.
And the Red Clay Comedy Festival is going to be a dope festival. That's 28th, 29th, and 30th. Mm-hmm. If you buy tickets to our event, you get tickets for a pass. You get that money off on a pass. So it's almost as if you're already putting that money into a pass. So you can go to every show if you want.
That's right.
All weekend, which is really cool.
Yeah, and we're also going to be doing stand-up on the festival.
Yeah, the rest of the weekend, we got shows, which is going to be really dope. I'm actually really excited about this because you and I have been talking about, comedy and soccer belong together.
That's right.
And finally, someone's prove it.
Yeah, it's going to be a healthy marriage.
Yeah. And, you guys have just broken a record for single season attendance. So I'm expecting you guys to break a record for attendance at a comedy podcast, okay? So if you want to find out how to get tickets, just check our social. We post them all the time. I think it's our pinned tweet.
That's right. Yeah, just go.
Or you can go to redclaycomedyfestival.com, right? redclaycomedy.com.
I think it's Red Clay Comedy. Just Red Clay.
No one goes to the website anymore. Everyone just Googles. Okay, so just Google Red Clay Comedy Festival.
We announced it on social media. I don't think we mentioned it on the podcast, but we announced Julian Gressel will be one of the guests.
Yeah, that's right.
And we did announce this on the podcast itself.
Yeah.
But we're also going to have Brittany Arnold.
Brittany, she works for
Cubana. She works for Fox Sports.
We're going to be drinking cafecito, a little pan con manteca, un poquito pan tostado ahí. Oye, coño, ¿te gusta el fútbol ese? ¿Por qué no recoge esa pelota y lo tira como un curveball?
Okay. Yeah. I think about 12% of our listeners understood what you said.
Buddy.
Yeah, but that's
Let me tell you something. Tropic Sounders Cuba is going absolutely insane. And you know Osvaldo Alonso listens. You just know it.
That is, very likely.
100% true.
Yeah, after you accosted him at the MLS Cup.
I cannot wait to tell Brittany Arnold that story. She's just going to be like, yeah, that's the most Cuban thing that's ever happened in MLS history.
But Brittany Arnold, she works for Fox Sports Southeast, and she works for the team. She works for Atlanta United. You'll see her on a lot of the media that the team puts out. She interviews a lot of the players, and so we're really excited to have her on board. It's going to be really.
What's
really
her
cool.
perspective like? Let's find that out. Yeah. I mean, look, we asked her to be on because she's Cuban. I asked her to be on. That's it. I honestly don't care.
Yeah.
Fuck decorum. Okay.
And if anybody comes up to us and Alexis is like, "Yo, you Cuban?" Then you on the show.
Get on the show.
That's it. That is the only prerequisite.
I'm going to be wearing a guayabera, which is that shirt that has 4 pockets. Me and Brittany Arnold are going to be playing dominoes.
Okay.
And that's it. Done.
This is like
we're gonna have a cigar roller. None of this is
just
happening.
Every single stereotype of a Cuban.
You know what's funny? They're not that bad at stereotypes. We do all those things. Okay, they're not actual stereotypes. They're culture. Okay.
Okay. Sure. Then it's gonna be like
if I said we're gonna be talking loud with our hands, which you can actually just watch me do that on this podcast on the YouTube. Then I'll be like, oh, that's a stereotype.
It's gonna be like a Cuban appreciation night.
Yeah. Bring your most Cuban thought or something and share it with us. Your Cuban experience. We'd love to hear it.
It was pretty weird. Was it last week?
By the way, shouts to Poppy Van Trapp. I made a joke that she was the only Cuban that Brittany was the only Cuban, and Poppy Van Trapp, who follows us, she was like, there's another one. She's also Cuban and Jamaican, so those arguments must be amazing.
Okay. All right. All right. So I expect the Cuban army full force in Atlanta.
Just the three of us. Jay Ritter was funny. He's like, I got a couple Uruguayans coming, and they're very upset with me right now. That was very funny.
So we want to make sure people know about that and come out to that because it's going to be really, really fun and
we're going to be at the game on the 27th as well.
That's right. We're going to be
at the game on the 27th. We're going to go early. We want to check out. I heard there's like 1 billion tailgates. I thought we would get a chance to go to all of them. Turns out that's not going to be possible. But we're going to go to a bunch. So we want to hang out with some of the Terminus Legion and the Footy Mob and Faction and Resurgence and all you dudes and ladies. We want to hang out with all you guys. We want to try to meet up with everyone, and we're going to be doing some video from the game itself. We're getting that section out. We're going to try to see if we can get credentials. If we can kind of bounce around to all the different fan spots, get in there with all the supporters and stuff, and just check out the stadium.
It's going to be lovely. So now that we got all that out of the way, speaking of Atlanta, I think they're probably responsible for the next story.
Oh yeah, no, they got a body. Tata Martino should get a teardrop tattoo and pour a little out for my dude Heaps.
Jay Heaps out as the manager. Coach for New England Revolution,
former player.
Former manager of the New England Revolution.
Former manager, yeah. A lot of formers.
Okay. You need to update that resume, dog.
Oh, man.
Because it's looking bad.
Go to log into LinkedIn, buddy. Time to update that page.
Okay. See, we could probably give you a recommendation letter. We've seen some of the work you do. I mean, the last year was a little bit rough.
Yeah.
But we'll do the right thing.
But the body of work. The body of work.
The consistent almost wins at the MLS Cup.
Oh man.
Those count for something.
Yeah, it's tough, but the guy's record was like, I think he had a losing record. I think it was something like 73 wins and 81 losses, something like that. And tough season this year, but at the end of the day, I mean, the guy wasn't getting it done, and it was a rough year.
Wasn't getting it done. Wasn't getting it started. It wasn't even. He didn't even put it in the oven.
Wait, to say he was a pro, we mean procrastinator. Like the guy didn't even get it started yet.
I mean, it's a shame because I think this year, after getting Kai Kamara in the middle of last season, I think they were,
and he wanted to be out. Remember, he wanted
Columbus.
to leave. Yeah, no, he wanted to leave New England as well.
You think so?
Yeah, right before the trade deadline.
Oh, you think he was just going there temporarily? You think he didn't want?
No, he was intimated that he also wanted to leave there.
Okay, but from Jay Heaps' perspective, I think he was pretty excited about that, like the New England Revolution, like going forward. Their attack was going to look pretty promising with all the great Juan Agudelo, Kai Kamara,
Lee Wynn, Fagundes, Teal Bunbury.
It looks
stacked
on paper. This is a hit. This is a solid squad.
What happened?
It's a great question. I mean, I think a lot of their issues. I don't want to say that they're necessarily all just like defensive, because I think they have a strong core defensively. We talked about them a lot during the NYCFC game when they came to Yankee Stadium. You saw how tough they were. They were just strong, a strong back line. But I guess it's like that chemistry. They just make. There's a chemistry issue with the team, and you have to say that it's the coach's responsibility to get that part sorted out. And
I think we saw last year, or was it? That was last year with Jermaine Jones, how much of a difference he made. Maybe that's all it is. Maybe they just need a defensive midfielder.
Jermaine Jones hasn't been in New England for like
2 years,
3 years.
No, it hasn't been 3 years. He was at Colorado last year.
Colorado. Wasn't he with Colorado for 2 years?
LA this year, Colorado last year.
And New England before that?
Okay. Yeah. But we saw how much of a difference he made. He goes in.
Oh, sure. When Jermaine Jones was there, New England was one of the better clubs in MLS.
Yeah, but maybe that's all it is. Maybe it's a defensive midfielder and they haven't had someone to replace him. I mean, you've had ample time, to find a replacement.
It makes sense. I would say that the problem with the Revolution is not their players. That's... Even though they obviously everybody goes like, well, they're the ones on the they're responsible, but it's based on the talent you have. You have to presume there's something wrong fundamentally with the club. So you got to let them go because nothing else is working.
Well, what do the Italians always say? The fish stinks from the head.
Do they say that?
You've never heard that before?
Sure, that's not a Cuban thing. Can we add that to the Cuban?
Oye, chico, the fish. El pescado ese huele malísimo. Por poca la cabeza.
The fish. Okay, say it again.
The fish stinks from the head. It's the truth.
The fish stinks from the head.
When the fish starts to go bad, it's from the head. What does that mean? What does that tell you?
I don't know what it means, but
I'm pretty sure you know what it means. It's very easy to understand.
When I hear it was when I hear it's an Italian proverb or whatever, I'm like,
proverb.
This is just something some like Italian Goomba dude said to some woman to talk about to denigrate women.
The fish stinks from the head. No, it's like It's not. It's like an actual. It's not ancient, but it's an Italian thing. Not like the guy down the block says it. It means like the problem is at the top. It's not the body. It's not the people. It's at the top.
Okay.
Like if your team isn't doing well, it's the coach. It's not the players.
So you hear that, Jay Heaps? You're a goddamn stinky fish. Okay.
Yeah. No. He's the fish head.
The fish. You're a stinky fish head. All right,
nah, son.
Okay. You need to. And you got to cut it off at the head Because you don't want to eat that stinky fish head.
Do not. I mean, you can make good fish sauce with it. Don't get me wrong. Maybe good fish broth.
All right. So
But that's it. That's all you're worth, Heaps.
that's all you are, Jay. Look, just some fish sauce. Yeah.
Which, by the way, do not Google how to make fish sauce. You will never eat it again. Trust me on that.
So yeah, that was that firing. Obviously, probably a big reason it happened was because the week prior, on Wednesday, Atlanta United played one of their 42 matches that they have in the next 6 days, and they defeated the Revolution 7-0, 7-0. Another 7-0. We've seen that scoreline before.
Yeah, we have. Chile. No, let me tell you something. I remember the 7-0 loss to the Red Bulls as an NYCFC fan, and it felt somewhat disenfranchised. I just remember sort of being disconnected to the game itself. Like, I wasn't worried about the score because we were losing already. You know what I mean? Like, the game was gone. You know, so it didn't matter what the score was. This felt so much worse to watch. And I'm not a fan of either team, and it hurt so bad to continue to see that score. It was also fun at the same time because there's just something about the way Atlanta plays. And I talked about this before Tata Martino got, before the team started, when Tata Martino came here. This was the style of play. It's this sort of like just a can of angry bees being let loose.
Just bludgeoning your opponent to death.
Just never.
What an interesting style.
Yeah.
Just relentless violence and just like humiliate the team.
At a young age, someone said to Tata Martino, like, what are you going to beat a dead horse? And he was like, that's a good idea. What if we beat the horse harder after it dies?
Are you Italian? Because that's a great Italian proverb.
The horse gets beaten when it's dead.
Yeah, so
proverb. As if they wrote any of this shit down. It's it was hard to watch, but at the same time it was fun to watch. It's hard to explain. I don't know, that second red card seemed a little iffy to me. I know Simon Borg said he agreed that's my version of the appeals court for MLS. Is what did Simon Borg say about it in the instant replay? He seemed to be on board, saying it was a good call. I mean, going down to 10, it's hard enough to beat him with 11. Going down to 9, guys.
Yeah, it's it did raise the question. A lot of people were like, it raised like this ethical question of in soccer, if you're supposed to kind of run up the score. This was a big thing last
Gabriel
week.
Marcotti said that, like in the Serie A, there's this gentleman's agreement where you don't do that. Yeah, if you're playing a minnow, right? Because they might go down. You know what I mean? That? Again, minnow, a fish, not a fish.
Not a fish. Not a ton of fish talk.
Your buddy wants some seafood, apparently.
Is that like
a minnow is like a small club.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what is it an actual team name? Because you know how
Minnow FC. I mean, geez, there should be a lot of them in the Serie A. But like let's say it was like Milan versus Pescara, which has seafood as their badge. That's a very, very small club. You don't run the score up on them, right? Because you respect, but they're going to get relegated. You can't get relegated in the MLS, and goal differential is important. Yeah, and that team is not playing for a playoff spot like New England. You are if you are Atlanta. So run up the score. I don't. To me, it also seems, maybe it's a very American thing of me to say, where it's like, no, go ahead, run up the score. But it seems soft. It seems like soft and, baby bitch like to say, oh, you shouldn't run the score up on them. They know what it is. They're soldiers. They're in the game.
I'm always very uncomfortable when you're that comfortable calling babies bitches. They're babies.
No. The problem is that the babies aren't bitches. The bitches are babies. See what I'm saying? You reversed it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, thanks for clarifying.
Yeah. That's what I'm here for. I want to make sure there are no mistakes. You know me, love to edit myself.
You're gonna get just comments, from babies like, "Hey, this was." I'm really glad you clarified because I was quite offended.
Yeah. Also, bitches that aren't babies will be like, "Thank God." You're like, "Look, I know I'm a bitch, but I'm an adult bitch, very full grown bitch, grown and sexy bitch." Some would say,
"Badass." Also. Badass bitch.
Bad bitch. You're a bad baby. Do you know who that is?
Bad Baby?
Do you know who that is?
I don't know who that is.
Oh my God. You know the Cash Me Outside?
Yeah.
How about that? You know that girl?
I do know that.
She's rapping under the name Bad Baby. BHADBHABIE.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I have seen her work. I'm really
Her song's not terrible.
look, with the state of rap nowadays.
Oh boy,
it's not terrible.
Yeah,
because the bar has been set very, very low.
Yeah, if you're grading on a curb, it's an A, and that's a shame for the whole curb. The whole curb is messed up. I suggest we take the street down.
But yes, so
we were talking about soccer.
We were talking about soccer.
So yeah, to me, it's like a soft thing to say, like, "Oh, don't run up the score." What do you think? Are you offended by that in any way, shape, or form? If you were a New England Revolution player, would you be hurt by it, or would you be like, "Yo, we need to be proud"?
No, I tweeted about it a little bit, and
well, then share it.
No, you run up the score all you like. I think it's about how you run up the score, right? Because there was, I forgot.
Like you got to have techers? Or like if you're doing it, like if you're fucking with them.
Was it the Confederations Cup? I think it was the Confederations Cup when Germany was just like hammering every single team
right
that they were playing against. There was I forgot what country they were playing, but they were up like 7-0 or 8-0. They were just crushing them.
Yeah.
And then there was some player that started doing step overs. They're already like
but that's when you break that dude's ankles and be like, "Yo, we're going to 8 now," but whatever. And
that's exactly what happened. He got like basically like cracked in the face. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but he got tackled very, very hard,
right?
Because at that point you don't do that. And Atlanta, they bludgeoned the Revolution in the classiest way possible.
Okay, I agree with you there.
They did it with respect.
Like the free kick goal, a lot of people were upset about. What do you expect them to do?
Yeah.
You expect them to make it harder for themselves to score? And then what if they just do some weird shit like just lob it up and they still score? Does that hurt less? Or do you expect them to do? Just kick it out of bounds? That doesn't make any sense.
That wasn't being flashy.
In fact, it's condescending for them not to score on you. What do you got to have pity on me? Is that what you got to do? You got to have pity on me and not even try to run up the score, not even try to go, "Oh, like that's how bad I am, that you're just going to stop playing." No. Go ahead, do your best. And if I can't stop you, that's on me. That's exactly what's supposed to happen. You don't just walk away from the game. That's more embarrassing.
I agree. And it's and also that Kevin Kratz goal was incredible.
That was amazing.
But this was the not the first game. Was this the second game at Mercedes-Benz?
This was not the first.
The Revolution one.
No, the Revolution was the first. Orlando was the second.
Okay, correct. Yeah. So you got to open that stadium. You got to put on a show.
Yeah.
Atlanta United was just like, let's bring the heat. This is opening night.
Yeah, jazzy. A lot of jazzy. It sounded insane in there for the 70,000 person
70,000. This one was like 45, which is like, I mean, Atlanta, come on, really step your game up.
That's nothing. Come on. Tampa Bay Rowdies do that.
Okay.
I mean, for the last 4 seasons put together, all their attendance, I think that maybe gets them.
Sure.
I think they're not even
about halfway there.
They're not even a club anymore, are they? Fort Lauderdale Strikers closed. Tampa Bay is still there. Anyway.
So, that's why I was even more okay with the whole display, because of the pageantry of like the first day at this new stadium.
And you know what? We should salute the New England Revolution for laying down and allowing Atlanta to have the celebration.
They were the red carpet.
Yeah, I mean, apparently they were also the step and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat.
Yeah. So,
but how nice of them not even to show up, just to allow Atlanta to just celebrate their first day in that stadium, their debut.
Yeah,
what a beautiful thing that Jay Heaps was like, guys, let's just let them win.
They got the invitation in the mail, and they were like, you know what? I appreciate the offer, the extending the invitation, but you know what? I think I'm just gonna stay home and probably Netflix it.
They were like, chicken or steak, and I mean chicken or fish. There's not even steak on this. I'm not going to this wedding. You know what I mean? That's exactly what they did.
I need some stinky fish on this menu. Otherwise, I will
never have some stinky fish. Would you? No, boy, do we. Oh boy, do we.
So yeah, this was it was entertaining, and look, and I know probably as a fan of the Revolution, you're not happy about it, but
right.
Maybe the second red card, I don't know if it's iffy necessarily, but it is what it is. They weren't going to win anyway. So at this point, at least they needed that that punch in the face. Yeah, to make some real change, and I'm generally surprised it didn't happen much sooner.
I didn't think it was. I don't honestly think it needed to be done now, but geez, I mean, you take that big of an L, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe, but also let it go.
When you turn an L upside down, it's actually a 7. You know,
7. Ugh. God.
Hey,
You said that the first person I know to take an upside down L. That's a pretty big L. I feel bad for Jay Heaps, and he seems like a good coach, and I hope he finds his footing elsewhere. Look, Petke got fired and, unceremoniously from the Rebels. And look, he's doing a great job at RSL, or they're playing well, I should say. I mean, I haven't really looked at his tactics much, but they're playing well. So, I mean, hopefully this isn't the end of the road. Dominic Kinnear got a job at LA as an assistant. Maybe there's more opportunity for that. Bring Jay Heaps in there. Maybe he can help you solve the dumpster fire that is LA Galaxy.
Sure. Just
hire all the coaches.
A graveyard of fired coaches.
Yeah, of former MLS greats. At
all the coach lunches, they're just like. It's like prison. Like, what are you in for? Oh, I got fired for losing 7-0 to Atlanta United.
Actually, if it's like prison, they're all just like some bullshit. I took a big old 7-0.
Bob Kraft he just didn't understand me. That's all.
Kraft, man, he's on some bullshit. I just took it for somebody. I'm not gonna snitch. That's all of them. But let's shout also to Joseph Martinez, who is way back. He's all 100% back.
Really making up for that loss.
He scored 6 goals in 4 days.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, and September's not even over. Atlanta still has about 18 more games in these next 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
So they Joseph Martinez is going to be somebody to fear in these next couple weeks. And with so many 2 double game weeks for Atlanta United, I'm surprised that there hasn't been a bit more turnover, especially up front. I know Kenwin Jones just got back. I know he was injured.
Yeah, he was injured for a minute.
I guess the issue is they can't replace anybody. They have no one to replace Martinez, Tito Villalba, and Almiron.
Yeah, but they also play a style where I'm not sure. I mean, look, you always want Joseph Martinez to start, but if he can't go in, I think you just play with like Almiron up front or Villalba up front. You know what I mean? Someone like that. Maybe Julian Gressel up front.
But none of these guys can sit. That's the concern.
Right. Yeah.
I'm a bit worried. Because of an injury. That's like.
Do they have the juice to make it all the way through the MLS Cup? Which remember I did pick them as the ones who other than NYCFC were going to win it all. So.
Okay, well, only one of those can make it to the MLS Cup.
I think they can both try.
It's gonna be Atlanta United and NYCFC against the resurging LA Galaxy. Who can somehow make it?
How is that game? Let's get 3 goals out there, boys. We'll figure this bad boy out.
Nobody expected these teams. We also did not expect the first trilogy.
Trill.
Trill.
The Trill OG.
Trilogy. MLS Cup.
I also want to say that, as someone who plans on going to MLS Cup, I hope it's not in Toronto. That's all. Yeah. I love Toronto. I love the fans. We got a new fan from Toronto who just messaged us on YouTube. I forget the guy's name, like This Seems 8 or something like that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Sure. He or she, whoever it is. We love Toronto. If the MLS Cup took place in, July, we'd be there. Okay. But December, not again, son. Yeah. Because they're going to put us in that ancillary media. They're going to put us outside, right? Basically in front of a wind machine. Okay. Can't handle it.
Yeah.
This year.
Think about us. That's really,
I mean, please.
We're going to be very inconvenienced. It's very, very cold.
Come on, MLS teams. As you're playing these playoff games, think about the Cooligans.
Exactly. Well, they're going to, at the next meetings, they're going to be like, well, the Cooligans suggested that the MLS Cup should be held at a neutral site if Toronto is hosting because they have the most points.
Just do it in Atlanta. What do you want? 26,000 people freezing their asses off, or do you want 70,000 people listening to Waka Flocka? I think you know the answer.
So speaking of the 70,000, I mean, how crazy was that? How impressed were you? Atlanta United now holds the record for the most in attendance for an
regular season
regular season game for an MLS match, just overall.
Yeah, I know. I think the first MLS Cup had more people.
Oh, I don't know.
I think so.
That's not what I read, but okay.
Maybe you're right. But
I think it was 69,000 the record.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is the kind of maturity you're gonna get from this show.
Oh yeah, no. If you came here for maturity, you clicked on the wrong podcast. Max and Herc is that way. I think the most impressive thing about it is how other people who don't watch soccer reacted to me telling them that number. It's a big one. It's one that separates sort of MLS, from like the Euro game. Like a lot of people were like, "Oh, I heard this many people showed up for Real Madrid versus Manchester United, this and that." This puts an MLS game in par with that, especially seeing how NFL teams are doing terribly.
Well, certain ones, yes.
Yeah, obviously not across the board, but no. I mean, but this is the first time that we've seen signs of struggling. I even posted on the Cooligans account. If people think that the NFL starting to struggle a little bit, viewership is down again. I think for the third year in a row, the ratings are down, attendance is down. If those are signs of soccer's, I guess not resurgence, but come up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
There is, first of all, I was impressed. I was jealous. Like it would be cool if NYCFC, or just in general, there was more of
every team.
Every team had that kind of support.
That'd be huge.
But yeah, I think it was it was one of those moments, those pinnacle moments of MLS where I think maybe in 20 years we're gonna look back and say that was like. That was the beginning of this research, big come up for MLS.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people talked about Seattle when they started. They were filling out the entire CenturyLink. I look back at that and I think that was important for us to see that it could happen. But there was something about the fact that it only happened there. This being sort of the second chip to fall. Where we're, maxing out NFL size stadiums. This tells me that there's sort of, and look, not every city has to fill 70,000, but like if we can average 30,000 across the board, think about how big of a number that is. That's bigger than the Premier League's average because they have some small stadiums, or they might have changed this year, but that's bigger than a lot of times what they're getting in the Bundesliga. That's a huge thing for us. The next step is going to be the TV ratings. We need to start talking about that. But look, we wanted asses in seats. We're here. We did it.
Yeah, that's
and it is because of us.
We're directly responsible for Atlanta United's success.
In fact, let's take the time out to say you're welcome.
Yes. It's we.
Why not thank us at our event?
Come up to us in person. Get a ticket and say, hey. You're welcome. No, you're welcome. Thank you. No, we say you're welcome.
We'll say you're welcome. We were just practicing. That's what that was. Christian was practicing saying you're welcome.
Rehearsing, sort of. Yeah, it was. I'll get there.
Can I just say something? Before we started talking about Atlanta, they were not selling 70,000 seats. So
that is true. They also didn't have those 20,000 extra seats.
I think if we keep digging, we're going to find stuff we don't want to know. Let's just stay at the facts that we've already stated.
None of those details really matter at this point.
In fact, it's too much.
Because our point is heavily supported with the evidence that we've presented for you.
Yeah.
With the heavily curated evidence.
In fact, we rest our case. Let's just right now call it. Okay. Before we ever even mention the words Atlanta United, they never sold 70,000 seats. So
that is, but it's
the Cooligans effect.
It is true. Yeah, the Cooligans effect. And politicians, they call it the Cooligans bump.
Yeah, which is also this. There it is.
But you were concerned, and you had tweeted this out about that how significant it was that Mercedes-Benz Stadium had so many just people there watching a soccer game. That the sad part was that the field is turf.
Yeah,
and that this could be our Azteca, right? And this could have been our Azteca.
Yeah. It could have been. I feel it even might still be. I feel like it's there's the stadium that Tottenham is going to play in, their new stadium. They have this really cool field that sort of
opens up.
Like the grass goes away and then turf.
They
pops
come in
up.
like sections.
Yeah,
as part of the pitch.
And I highly doubt that they're able to sort of change, the stadium in Atlanta for that. Although, I mean, if they're making this much money, they may consider it in the offseason. But what I was thinking is maybe there's a way to put sod down where it's not a bad thing. Like, they're able to do it at MetLife Stadium where the Giants play and the Jets play.
Yeah.
They're able to put down grass, and it seems fine for international matches.
So that was the thing. So that we had a tweet from David Leone, and he was quoting Darren Eales, who's the I don't know what the team president for Atlanta United, and he did say exactly. They said that Eales said grass can be put down on top of the turf in the stadium. That's important because World Cups are played on grass. And Atlanta United president Darren Eales said he wants Mercedes-Benz Stadium to be front and center in any of the World Cup, the U.S. World Cup plans. So,
and they've proven they deserve that.
Yeah.
I feel because of the fan base, because of the way the stadium just feels on TV, it feels like our Azteca. It feels like the sound that erupts when Joseph Martinez scores, I don't want to be anywhere on the opposite. I don't want to be an op to that. You know what I mean? I don't want to be opposition to that. I would rip my shirt off if I was on the other team and put on Atlanta one just to celebrate, so no one's mad at me. As that's happening, it just sounds deafening, and it reminds me of what the Azteca is. It reminds me of sort of that. You don't want to go there as an opposition player. You sort of just want to go and kind of enjoy yourself. You know what I mean? You don't want to go there as someone who 70,000 people are going to hate. And that's what, the Azteca is for Mexico. And that's their national team's sort of stadium, even though it's really a Club Americas. Mm-hmm. But it's also like where El Tri plays. This should be where men's national team looks at it as their home turf.
Sure. I mean, are we going to get the same... like if we play against Mexico in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, there's a healthy Mexican population in Atlanta. Are we going to get the same? There were 40,000.
They're all going to be deported. So who cares? No,
it's going to be the same. It's like I don't want. That would just be such a corny thing, especially in such an awesome environment like that.
I mean, there's no way to avoid that. Do you really? Cincinnati. Maybe FC Cincinnati Stadium becomes the home.
Becomes our Azteca.
Our Azteca. Maybe we do it in Montreal.
I think some people. The concern for some people is that even Mercedes-Benz Stadium will be Mexico's Azteca. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Mexico's got a lot of Aztecas.
Why are there all these Aztecas everywhere?
Goddamn, man. There's too many Aztecas.
Share some of them Aztecas. I would love an Azteca.
Can we get our own Azteca somewhere? Look, I mean, you're going to get that anywhere. There's a lot of Mexicans in the U.S., which I'm a big fan of. Happy to have you. What are you going to do? Away seating.
Yeah.
Give them an away section and limit the amount of tickets sold.
Yeah, I mean that's usually the strategy.
But again, you can't do that for a national team because you don't have supporters of a national team. Although that's it, only American Outlaws are allowed in. I don't know how else to do it.
Anyway, but yeah, overall, a big moment for MLS, and I think it's it's just.
And what do the fans think? Do you think that the Benz? Is that what it's called? Should we call it that, or the Merc? I heard the fans are calling it the Merc.
The Merc. Oh man,
you got murked.
An assassin. Joseph Martinez, an assassin we hired to.
I think New England would agree that that's what happened, though. Merc for real. What do you think? Do you think that could be our Azteca? If not, where? Where would our Azteca be? What stadium is our Azteca? Let us know.
Fair question. Also, I did want to talk about another thing, and this is much more New York related and relevant to a lot of people are talking about. Obviously, the NFL just started, and then in New York, it's not looking good. It's a lot of poor.
As a Giants fan, I don't even know what you're talking about. I got nothing to watch.
The Giants are awful. The Jets are awful.
I mean, the Jets we know, but come on.
Yeah, I mean, at least they're consistent every year.
Did you know the Giants signed Geno Smith? I mean, what are we doing? Why are we bringing the bad luck charm?
Wow, he just he didn't even have to. Yeah, he didn't even have to change his locker.
Somebody put a thing up that says he was holding a clipboard and he fumbled it. Get it? Clipboard because he's the backup quarterback.
I get it.
And fumbled it because he sucks at football.
Solid comedy right there.
I mean,
but no, Colin Cowherd he's on Fox Sports, and he has one of a dozen shows on there. He's like their guy. But the reason we're talking about this is because he was on his show. I think it's called Speak for Yourself.
I don't know. I can't listen to him because he just sounds like his teeth are too big for his mouth.
It's First Take on a different channel. That's how I see it. But he's talking about the state of New York sports and how like the Knicks, the Jets, the Giants, and he's kind of points those out because those are essentially the ones that get the most media coverage.
Sure,
and have like
they are the big four
and the big stars or whatever.
Yeah,
but he mentions how the state of New York sports is in disarray. We posted this on our Twitter, and he basically is talking about how New York has no stars,
right?
Has no star power. All their teams are doing poorly,
right?
He's speaking about New York collectively, like there's really nothing going on. And I'm like, well, the Red Bulls are doing pretty well.
They're going into a cup final.
They're going into a cup final.
NYCFC is easily in the playoffs already, second place.
Yeah. And they also have David Villa, who's one of the largest global soccer stars. That's undeniable.
He just played for the Spanish national team, and he's here.
Hanging out, just in the
scoring
city. Scoring goals.
In fact, if you're quiet in New York, you can hear a pigeon get hit by a cab and David Villa score.
And to be so dismissive of. He's not even dismissing it. He's not even acknowledging it. And he also didn't mention the Yankees. Yeah.
Like, which owns NYCFC, but they're doing pretty well. They've got Aaron Judge.
Partial. I mean, they don't own the club, but
they're part owners.
They're part owners.
50 Cent owns owned 0.0001 of vitamin water, and it was his, his water. They're doing well. They've got stars on the team. He didn't mention them because they didn't fit what he was doing. And again, NYCFC, once again, soccer, just pushed to the side. Who cares? Who cares about David Villa? Who cares about Pirlo? Who cares about Jack Harrison, a budding, superstar? Maxi Morales, again, maybe not a massive name, but, playing really well in the league. Sean Johnson, the team loses and he still gets player of the game, or save of the week. And, all that. No, forget all that. Forget all that because God forbid they're not wearing a goddamn helmet.
Watching it, it frustrated me because I'm watching it live and I'm just like the lack of any effort to even pay attention or acknowledge of like what's going on in American soccer is such a big problem with the way soccer is covered in the country. There's always it's odder to me that Fox Sports
otter like the animal.
Yeah. Okay. All right. If we're gonna do that, we'll just do this all day.
I have a feeling I'm gonna lose that one because I don't pay attention that well.
It's stranger.
Yeah.
To me that. Again, it's one of those things where like the network pays to air MLS matches, and the commentators can't even acknowledge that the sport exists.
And the worst part is that we've grown accustomed to not even being brought up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We as soccer fans, of course they didn't bring us up. And also, why do we need their validation?
No, we don't. We don't need the validation, but it is at some point. We have to collectively say to ESPN, to Fox Sports, to all these morning shows.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, soccer fucking exists. We
matter.
We matter.
Soccer lives matter.
Soccer lives matter. We have to say something because it's not it's one of those like the Emmys just were a couple days ago, right? And a lot of black performers won Emmys, and it wasn't like doing them a favor. They earned those, They earned those awards, and it wasn't like none of the awards were like, oh, they won it because they were black. It was like they earned it, and
there was no award for black actor of the year. It was actor of the year.
Imagine that award. That'd be
hilarious. White guy still wins it.
I'm like, I have a feeling this is rigged.
Yeah.
This is
Justin Bieber didn't even act in anything. Why is he winning this?
but it's about that that representation in media, right? Asian people are dealing with that the most now, right? Where they
Right.
you see that a lot about how they don't get a lot of roles in movies.
I know Emma Stone is broken up about it.
Yes, the Asian, it's very Asian Emma
Very
Stone.
Asian.
We all know her as the Asian girl. Yeah, she was the Yellow Ranger in Power Rangers, right?
Jesus.
She was Asian. Remember?
Oh no, I know. They made the Asian girl the Yellow Ranger.
No, Power Rangers was easily
Low-key racist.
when you look back, and as a kid, I didn't realize, but heavily racist show. It was just
It
incredible.
wasn't. It was just. It wasn't racist. It was just. I guess like stereotypes. Be damned.
Yes.
Yeah.
If they had a Cuban Ranger, it would have all the things you talked about before.
He's throwing cigars. That guy threw sugar cane in my eye. Jesus.
Yeah, that's how they casted the show. It was just so again, so in soccer, that's
Because the Black Ranger was a black guy too.
that's right.
Jesus.
So
He was always the first one to die too. Not true.
he didn't die at all.
No.
Anyway, but he did
Because there
do.
were no police on the show.
He did break dance. That was his
did.
fighting style.
That is true. That is absolutely true. We were all so okay with it watching it too. We're like, no, yeah, this makes sense.
No,
Yeah.
We-
We can't let that Japanese lady take over from her sky. We gotta.
we didn't know better.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do? We're kids. So that's all I'm kind of saying is that I would want more representation in the way soccer is covered in the popular platforms. A lot of these shows are like, or even these radio shows are like, they're on 4 hours. Mike and Mike is on for 4 hours a day.
A day.
Do they think they can't? They talk about the same story like every hour just because they know people are listening at different times.
Yeah.
One of those, we can have 10 minutes of what's going, the scores in MLS, or just something, just so you can acknowledge that that the sport exists in the country.
Well, that's why people come to us, though.
Sure. What I'm telling everybody, stop coming to us and actually argue.
Go back to linear radio, terrestrial radio.
Yeah, sit by your radio. Don't watch TV. No more TV, everybody.
no.
Everybody sit by the radio and listen to the mysteries.
Yeah.
That's
I agree with you, and I think it's frustrating, but at the same time, it's like, don't talk about us. Don't. We'll just do it ourselves. We've been doing it ourselves from the beginning. The reason you and I exist is because we found that there was no one to turn to laugh about soccer.
Sure.
And to have and be entertained in a much more creative way than just joking about the same old dumb things, or just talking about tactics. Like, that's not us, obviously, right?
Yeah, how many shows are talking about how racist Power Rangers were?
None.
And
Pretending it's a soccer podcast. None.
no, but finding parallels with American soccer.
Yeah, that's not happening anywhere else.
Only philosophers like us.
Yeah. And it's dudes in hoodies. It's not the opposite. I look at that and I say, good for you that you don't do it, that you ignore us, because that gives us an opportunity to do it ourselves. And for everyone listening, we are your cow and cowherds. And if you want, we'll start talking like this, like our teeth are too big for our own faces.
So yeah. So I'm glad. I'm just glad I got that out, because that was a very important subject to me.
Good.
All right. So we should get to our second segment because we're going to be talking to Drew Connor.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Drew Connor, he's a midfielder for the Chicago Fire, and a lot of Chicago stuff going on the last couple of days, because we just put out that Mad Javier video.
Oh, dude, we're getting so much love. Thank you to everyone who watched it, and everyone, even if you're not Chicago Fire fans. I know Kale had something nice to say because she remembered.
Yeah.
I forgot that she, when he walked in the room, he yelled Irish.
Oh, yeah,
to
that's
her.
right.
That was
Yeah. Matt-
so funny.
Wait, I don't know if we talked about...
Mad Javier used to cast the Power Rangers.
That was his former gig before he became a Chicago
That's where he
Fire
gets all that
legend.
beer money. That's where he gets that beer money.
He's like, guys, I got an idea. And he's like, but he very clearly was like, no Latino Rangers. I will not have.
Not allowed.
I will not have Mexicans disrespected on this show.
Now while I'm here, now put a kilt on that redhead guy. Get a boombox in that black guy's hand. Get the Mexican off camera.
Oh my God! So Mad Javier, he is. I think we spoke about him on a couple podcasts ago, but he's just the kindest, most passionate Chicago Fire fan you've ever even heard of.
It's an honor to have met him. That's how great he is.
He buys beers for fans. He gets food. He owns a taqueria in Chicago. Just a great human being. So just in general, we got to experience a lot about what the Chicago Fire were like and what Chicago was like, and definitely through this man's eyes, and he was very, very kind. So yeah, watch that video, but also and you're gonna have you're gonna enjoy yourself listening to Drew, because we met Drew at the Section 8.
Shouts to DJ Step for introducing us
at the Section 8 supporters, which is a Chicago Fire supporters group.
Right.
We met at the tailgate, and Drew was there, and we got to introduce ourselves, and he was a good dude. So
we had a great time with him.
We're excited to talk to him. So we're going to talk to him in just a moment.
Right after this break.
Yeah. So Drew Connor right after this.
All right. Keep listening. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to our podcast. Quick break. We want to tell you guys, especially if you live in Atlanta, about a special event we got going down in Atlanta on September 28th. It's going to be amazing. We are getting the chance to open up a comedy festival with a live podcast. Oh man, I'm super excited about this.
Yeah, me too, Alexis.
Oh wow, I can hear it in your voice. Well, this is a huge honor for at least one of us. And one of the coolest things is it's not just going to be us. We're going to have real special guests. We're going to have people that you may be cheering for every weekend. We don't know. We're not ready to tell you who.
A lot of surprises.
Yeah, but there's going to be awesome. There's going to be a lot of stuff to do, and it's going to be an absolute honor for us to be a part of this. It
is a soccer comedy podcast at a comedy festival. There's
never been done.
Literally never been done. So come to the first event of its kind at the Red Clay Comedy Festival, and it's going to be insane. So September 28th. All the details will be available very, very shortly. Just make sure you get on our email list. Go to soccercooligans.com and get on our email list. You'll see an option right at the bottom, or it should pop up right at your screen. Put your email in there, and you will be the first to know how you can get tickets to the Cooligans in Atlanta live podcast.
And we're letting you know now the seating is very limited, so be a part of that email so you can make sure you get in and be a part of the first of its kind. We're actually opening a comedy festival with a comedic soccer podcast. Can this work? We're about to find out. Atlanta, put yourself on that email list and be there. What's up, everybody?
Oh, we're back, and we were mentioning him before, but I'm super excited because this is our first Chicago Fire player on the podcast.
This is our first Chicago Fire player on the podcast, and this one we didn't have to track down or send a fruit bowl to, which was very nice.
It was a much more reasonable and professional way of going about it.
Yeah, and it's very rare that we sort of just like run into players, but this dude we got a chance to speak to at the Section 8 tailgate, as we mentioned in the previous segment, and he was just absolutely cool. And at first I wasn't sure if it was cool to talk to him, because I don't know if he was about to do like some media stuff, but he was talking to DJ Step, and I was like, hey, that's the dude from Chicago Fire. He's like, yeah. I was like, so you and I immediately just started joking with him, and great personality, which you guys are about to hear.
Yeah.
First, killing it. First rookie is not his first rookie, his rookie season with the Chicago Fire. So unless you're driving, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for number 18, Drew Connor, everybody.
Drew, what's up, man?
How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
Nah, man, thanks for being on, dude.
Yeah, this is like Alexis was saying, we did meet at the Section 8 tailgate, and I remember having this feeling like when we first met and we mentioned like, hey, we're comedians and we cover soccer, and you seemed intrigued by that. I don't know, is that fair to say?
No, for sure. I mean, obviously, I was, hanging out with my boy DJ Step, who is the homie, by the way.
Yeah,
the official homie.
Yeah, the absolute homie. And it was kind of an awkward event for me because it was, a paid appearance, and I did show up. But obviously, everyone was there for the All-Star Game, and I'm not an All-Star. So I kind of showed up, and it was kind of like, a few autographs here and there, but I was pumped that you guys came up to me and talked to me. And obviously, I had been on some other podcasts before, nothing like this. But I was interested, and I'm happy you guys are having me on right now.
Yeah, thank you. Is that a weird thing? Because we did meet a couple of other MLS players. When you're at an event like that, when we were at MLS Cup, we met a couple players who like Sasha Kleshin, for example.
Okay, you weren't going to say it. I was going to say it.
So we met Sasha Kleshin at MLS Cup. The Rebels were not in the MLS Cup, but when we met him at one of the events, you could just tell he did not want to be there.
I took it as he didn't want to speak to me, but you looked at it. I will hold on to it for the rest of my life. But he, Christian was like, no, I think it's just that, it seemed like he was competitive and was upset that he was not a part of MLS Cup, which I could understand. Like, why be there if you're not a part of it? And God, I wish I was playing tomorrow. That sort of thing. Is that something that goes through your mind? Because I know it's only your first season, but you've been playing really, really well. Is it one of those things where, you kind of wish you were in the All-Star game and you hate being there, but you love seeing the fans?
Well, sure. Obviously me being in the All-Star game wasn't, a goal of mine, or, not necessarily a realistic goal. But, the whole festivity is based around the All-Star team. So, of course, when you're at something like that, you don't necessarily feel relevant or important. And it's not like I yearn for that or it's something that I'm looking for. But it's at the same time, it's like, okay, well, why have me here? Why can't I just go, have a couple beers with my friend and go watch this game? And instead, I have to be at this tailgate where I don't necessarily seem appreciated. But no, in all honesty, there were a lot of fans that came up to me and talked to me, and just people that I recognized because I grew up in the Chicagoland area. So it was a cool thing to be at.
How does that feel for you? In twofold. One, you're from Chicago. You're a homegrown player. Cary is just outside of Chicago. You're from there. You know what I mean? You are from Chicago, and you put on a Chicago shirt every weekend, and you go out and play. And not only that, last year probably would have been a very tough season for you to have played. This year, and in the last few weeks, you guys have, back to your winning ways. How does it feel to play with guys like Bastian Schweinsteiger and Dax McCarty and Emmanuel Nikolic and so on and so forth? Those two things. How does it feel to play for the team that you grew up, I guess, having as your local? And how does it feel to play with huge names and having a pretty good season so far?
Yeah, it's just super, super dope. I grew up a huge Fire fan. My dad played collegiate soccer at Eastern Illinois back when they were good. They made a couple Final Four runs. So my dad kind of grew up when I was younger. He took me to Fire games, so I became a huge fan at a young age. And it's funny because throughout high school and college, everyone had kind of their own EPL team, or maybe they had a Bundesliga team. Oh, who do you support? You know what I mean? And I always felt weird supporting a team that I didn't grow up supporting. So, I hopped on the Chelsea bandwagon when I was 12. That was fun. And then I kind of dropped off that, and I'm like, wait a second, I'm a Fire fan, and I need to be supporting my local team and supporting the MLS. So honestly, from a young age, I started going to games, and then from 13 on, I was I'm just a Fire fan.
That's
I don't support anyone else but the Fire fan. Yeah,
that's amazing.
So yeah, and then from I went into my freshman year of high school, and back then the academy only consisted of a U16 and a U18 team, and I think I was one of maybe 3 players I was a 94, and I was playing up with that 92 age group. So as soon as I joined the Fire Academy, that changed everything for me. Because it was the first year that the academy system came into play.
Yeah.
So it was this whole new concept of oh my God, I always wanted to be a pro. This has been my main dream and focus. And now I have a clear path and a possible way to do it. It was totally possible. So now that I'm here, it's pretty surreal because I've dreamt about, playing at Toyota Park. I wore number 8 my whole life because of Hristo Stoichkov.
Wow.
So now, when I'm walking out in the tunnel and I'm seeing photos of all these legends I grew up watching, and now I'm playing with legends like, Bastian, and, if you want to call Dax a legend as well, I'll throw him in there.
We would.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, we don't get fruit bowls for non-legends. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely a really cool feeling, man. And the fact that the guys that are currently on the team are all great dudes makes it that much more fun of an experience.
It actually makes it hard for us because it would be so easy to hate you guys. You know what I mean? But we can't.
Yeah. We're super hateable right now. Yeah. We're super hateable.
Well, Toronto and Atlanta, I think, are all starting to take the mantle of most hateable. Chicago seems, you guys went through this little bit of a downturn, but you guys are coming back up of it. You were mentioning a little bit about EPL. The big difference between EPL and the way MLS is, it seems like, especially in the last few years, the teams that sort of catch heat at the end of the season do better in the playoffs.
For sure.
Is that something you guys are conscious of? Is that something that coach is talking about? Or is that something that you just don't care? You just play the game that's in front of you?
Yeah. I mean, the seasons always kind of go through waves. And for us, it was just kind of on the upswing until we went through that tough 4-game stretch. Or you can even call it 5 because we lost 3 out of 5 and then tied 1, right? So that kind of sucked. That was a little slump. And obviously, it's right at the end now where everyone's just kind of reaching for playoffs. And, we've won our last 2 games and things are kind of like coming on the up. So, yeah, I think, obviously any team going hot in the playoffs in any sport, usually does well. And, we're looking at teams right now that are hot and you got to keep your eye on them. But I think, we've had some other guys step into the lineup that have done well. We've had to manage some injuries we've had. So, call it excuses, call it whatever you want. Every team deals with it. But we're kind of on the upswing, and hopefully we can maintain that going into playoffs. Because like you said, those teams do well.
Well, just the last game against DC United, Bastion was out and you stepped in. I think you handled yourself quite well.
You were like, "Sit down, Schweinsteiger. I got this."
But you got an assist in that game. That you look great. What was you got? Was I don't know if this was your first 90-minute start this season. I may be incorrect about that, but you did look great. How did it feel just being out there and getting that 3-0 victory?
It was great, man. I was really excited to find out that I was going to start, back in the middle, which is my natural position. It's where I played, growing up in academy and then in college. So all the starts I've had this year have all been at right back. So, but every time, I've come late into a game or subbed into a game, I've subbed in at the midfield. So it was my first start in the midfield, and it also was my my first full 90 game of the season. So it just felt good getting back in the middle where I'm comfortable, man. And I love the defending in the middle. I love closing up on those gaps, cutting off passing lanes, and getting stuck into some slide tackles. So it was funny because my buddy Mike was like, "Yeah, baby, you're back in the middle." He's like, "Give him the Drew Connor show. Give him the 2-footed tackle. Let's go."
Studs up on somebody.
Yeah. So my focus going into the game was definitely, help Dax as much as possible. Get the ball to our key guys, and that's pretty much what I did. I think, I would have liked to get on the ball a little bit more. But Dax was kind of playing more of that deeper role when we had it. So there really wasn't much need for it. I was kind of just, in there as an enforcer. And I thought I fared pretty well for myself.
What is your goal? Because we talked a little bit about this when we met. As you're sitting there, you're coming in your first year, and all of a sudden the team just starts to buy people in your position, left and right, and you're just like, all right, guys, enough. I think let me get some shine.
Right.
What is your goal for the end of the season? Is your goal to maybe just get more playing time? Is it to just show more time in that midfield so that I know you're probably willing to cover in the back line if need be, but you probably rather be a defensive midfielder. What is your goal for this season?
Yeah. My goal at the beginning of the season was get as much playing time as I possibly can and help this team win. You know what I mean? So when you have a team that seems as stacked as ours right now in the midfield, hope seemed kind of slim at the beginning of the year, but personally, I had a really good preseason. So I felt like, okay, I can be in the mix. You know what I mean? I can come off the bench, or I can, potentially help start, when need be. And that's kind of what I've done this year. Moving forward, I want to be a starter on this team. I want to be a guy who's, consistently starting, helping this team out any way possible.
Word. I mean, yeah. I mean, clearly. I mean, you're getting the opportunity, which is awesome.
One thing I definitely want to make sure we get to, because I don't know how long this question may go on for, but it is a very divisive subject, and we are in New York. You are in Chicago. You are a native of Illinois. Pizza is a big part of our show.
Yeah, and we hope that one day it makes it out to Chicago. We hope that Chicago finally actually gets real pizza.
Here we go.
So I'll be the mediator over here, because I don't really care enough about either pizza.
You don't care about food at all.
I don't know about food enough to really have to read.
We still average out as though we both do, because I care about it so much, though. You know what I mean?
Okay.
The thing is you're probably going to take the W on this because you care so much more. But I will sit here and defend my Chicago pizza.
You'll go down with the ship. You play the violin on the way down, like on the Titanic. Well, let me ask you this: do you have a favorite Chicago above ground pool pizza?
So Giordano's is my favorite. Okay.
You like the fluffy, buttery crust?
I love the butter crust. I'm a huge deep dish fan, and I grew up around that. But there is a Chicago-based pizza chain called Rosati's that kind of came up near Cary that has pretty good thin crust. But of course, like, you know, if I have to pick like a main Chicago pizza, I love Giordano's. I take Giordano's over Lumalnati's.
For sure.
But I can do both. You know what I mean? I just think Lumalnati's, it's too cakey. It's too much cheese. And I think Giordano's has like that perfect cheese to sauce to crust ratio. Yeah. That I'm really looking for. So that's where I send people. My dad's a Geno's East guy. Like, he loves Geno's East.
Geno's East is the worst one. I think.
Say, you know what? Say that to Tom Connor's face.
Yeah. No, I don't want to.
You won't say that. No, you won't say that to Tom Connor.
You won't make it out alive.
Yeah, I'll be like,
hey,
well, I think it's great.
You haven't seen this guy in person.
Yeah, I'll just say, like, you should see what Drew's talking about, because he's disrespecting your choice. I would say that, you know, my cousins grew up in Chicago, and I always thought, of all the ones that I tried, I always thought Pequod's was probably the best I had.
Pequod's is great.
Pequod's is great. Burt's was my favorite out of all of them, because you would have to make a reservation. The biggest issue I have with Chicago deep dish pizza, besides the fact that they call it pizza, it shouldn't be. If it wasn't called pizza, hold on, don't get that upset just yet, Drew. If it wasn't called pizza, more people would eat it. It's the fact that you're trying to call pizza. That's like me calling my belly an ab, just one ab. You know what I mean? One big fluffy ab.
Why are you saying it's a lie? Are you saying it's because the sauce is generally on top of the cheese?
No, that's allowed. No, sauce on top of the cheese is allowed. In fact, original pizzas had the sauce on top of the cheese to prevent the cheese from burning.
So what's the issue here?
Okay, it's two things. One, cornmeal shoved into a pan. The word shove should never be used in pizza unless it's the pizza maker shoving the sun out of the way so that it doesn't disrupt them from making the pizza. So cornmeal doesn't belong anywhere near a pizza, right? You shouldn't shove it into a pan. And second of all, it takes 40 minutes to bake. What am I supposed to do for 40 minutes? Talk to my family?
Dude.
This is why Burt's was great. You would make a reservation for 9 p.m.?
Go through your Twitter feed, homie. I mean, you have a phone.
That's what the Subway's for.
What kids are doing this generation? We're eyes on the phone.
Could you imagine how much Snapchatting we would have to do to eat up 40 minutes?
Dude, we don't need social interaction. Come on. What are you, fucking 50?
I will say that 40 minutes is too long. I just don't want to talk to people that long. And this is why you guys drink so much, because you have to. You keep waiting for your pizza. The other thing is, Chicago's got so much better food.
I know.
Yeah, it's like, why are you peddling this one thing? It's like no New Yorker eats a street hot dog. None of us.
The funny thing is everyone from Chicago, we just love our pizza, and then you guys come here and rip on it, and it's like, okay, that's fine. Like, we have plenty other stuff too. Like, I don't know why everyone's mad at us. Like, you're all mad, you're all salty for no reason, and we're just sitting back in the Midwest with some of the best food in the country, and you're like pissed about it.
Yeah, you guys have incredible food. Our thing is, we didn't invent pizza here here in New York, but we perfected it. And then you took it and you're like, hey, what if we turn this sports car into a dump truck and we'll still call it a sports car? And we're like, oh my God, look what you did to it, you know? So look, at the end of the day, I'm not going to fight you on it. One of my favorite interactions, though, was when I started shitting on Deep Dish Pizza on Twitter, and you responded with the official clapback of, don't ever come back to Chicago, which is the best.
We appreciated that. That was great.
If we can both agree that Portillo's is heavenly, I think we can end this discussion at a tie.
Portillo's is great.
Yeah, Portillo's is fantastic. It was funny. My teammate Johnny Campbell, who I live with, we were rolling by Portillo's yesterday, the one on Harlem when you're going to Toyota Park, and he's like, so, you know, and he talks all slow. And he's like Southern, and he's like, so like this Portillo's place, like, what's the big deal? And I kind of had to break it down, like, John, they're only in Chicago. There's only like 10 in the Chicagoland area. It's like our thing, all right? So just let it be our thing.
How do you get it?
What do I get when I go to Portillo's?
Yeah. What's your order?
I get, one hot dog, everything on it, Chicago style. I get my cheesy beef croissant.
Croissant.
Which is basically just an Italian beef layered in cheese inside of a croissant sandwich. So it's just
God bless. God bless.
If
Chicago.
you could see Alexis's face right now, I mean,
watch the video because my mouth is watering all over this microphone.
It sounds like we're on a phone sex hotline. That's his face.
Yeah.
Right
In
now.
fact, could you say that a little slower, Drew? No. I mean, dude, the Italian beef sandwiches, you guys have a lot of great food. Even which we didn't get a chance to eat, which is a little bit more hood. It's all the way in the South. But R. Kelly said it once in a song, and I'm like, I got to eat it. It's like a steak and sweet. It's like a steak sandwich with like a sweet sauce poured all over it. I got to try that too. There was so much food that we didn't get to try out when we were there for All-Star break. I would tell everyone, go there. Don't eat that quiche that they call a pizza. Eat all that other great food. Honey butter chicken.
7-layer cake.
Yeah. That pot of red sauce made out of cornmeal. Don't waste your time with that.
All right.
There it is. I knew we would get them at one point.
There's plenty of jokes.
I guess before we let you go, because this is great of you to take time out to speak to us. We just put out a video. One of the most super fans I've ever met. A gentleman by the name of Mad Javier. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
I
remember him from when I was like a kid.
Oh,
like
that's
when
great.
my dad would take me. I've seen that video that you guys did with him, the interview. I mean, he's just an awesome dude.
He really is. I mean, is there anything that you can just say? Because I think one of the things that we were talking a lot about fandom and how great Atlanta's been doing, and Chicago was one of those cities that built the stadium outside of the city center, and it struggled to get fans for a bit, but